All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our audiobook Nook. We're going to be doing a author narrator chat, and today we're actually talking with Kris Land, and he wrote a book called The Finance Book for Young Adults. So let's get right into it. He's in the waiting room right now, so let's get him right here on the show. Hello, Kris.
Hello.
Don't hear you. Oh no, wait, I got you now. No, we're good. We're good. There we go. I got. We have. There we go. I was hearing too many things.
Fair enough.
We're good. How are you, Kris?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good. So, welcome. Welcome. This is your first time doing one of these.
Yes, sir.
You're live to the world.
Very exciting.
We've got some people tuned in. Hi, everybody. Hello. Hello. It is good to see you guys. Hello, Katie, Tiffany, Michelle, and Michelle in the chat there. What's up, guys? Welcome. So, I was the narrator on this book, and it is a book called The Finance Book for Young Adults. Then there's a lot of other, there's a whole big other title on this, isn't there? We got, right.
How the
There
rich.
it is. Hold that up. Oh wait, there it's disappearing. Okay, there it goes. The Finance Book for Young Adults: How the Rich Generate Tax-Free Income, Budget Their Money, and Take Advantage of IUL Insurance. So, I learned a ton of stuff when I was narrating this book, obviously, because it's stuff I hadn't really thought about either. And it's a book that I wish maybe I read when I was 20. So, tell everyone a little bit about yourself. What led you to write a book about finance for young adults?
Absolutely. So I started when I was very young, doing a software company. And since then, I've been a serial entrepreneur and created and sold 12 companies.
Wow.
I've taken one public. And in the last few years, I put together a masterclass to help people build their companies, build their business, and be successful. And in doing so, I found that a lot of folks just did not have the fundamentals necessary to really understand how money works and how rich people really manage their money and do things like the new term called private banking or generational wealth and all those different things. I didn't know anything about until I started digging and talking with people. And so exactly what you said, I said, boy, I wish I wrote a book that I wish I had had when I was 20.
Yeah, I mean, sure, because I probably hadn't heard of many of the concepts in the book. I'm well past 20, so yeah, it's just wow. They don't teach you this stuff. We don't learn about money in school.
None of this is taught in school. None of it. And yet, our kids are growing up with, basic math and English and all that is great, and geography and history, but the world is moving really fast. And with the advancements of AI and AI software available on the internet, it's moving at even a more exponential speed than it was just a year ago. And so for those folks that don't understand fundamental ways of managing money and looking at money and how it's used, they're really at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I'll say, definitely. So that's a great reason for why you wrote this, and you found me to read it somehow, and that was just through my normal audition. I auditioned on ACX, right?
Which is the Amazon Audible recording studio system.
Right. It's the audiobook creation exchange where narrators go seek out jobs that authors have posted. And I saw this one, and it's funny because I do a lot of stuff for young adults. Most of my work is for young adults and children, and so this was definitely for the age range that I usually do, but it was a totally different topic, which was fascinating. So that was really cool. And I auditioned for this. And I'm sure you had a bunch of auditions to kind of listen back to.
I went through close to 60.
Wow. Yeah, it's really hard to be a voice actor. Let me tell you this.
It is. There's a lot of competition, and ACX has made it very easy for anybody.
Yes.
And then what's really scary is I have a really good ear for tone. And there are, I would say, 15% of the recordings that I listened to were 11 Labs or some other AI generated system. It wasn't actually somebody reading.
Wow.
But it was really good. It's just there's certain little nuances that you can hear that is not how a human speaks.
Yeah.
And I can pick those up, and it's like, okay, so that's encroaching in there and competing with real narrators as well.
That's wild. This is what we are up against, and that technology is only getting better. So,
yeah.
Part of the big reason why we're on strike, why the actors are on strike right now.
Absolutely. I mean,
dangerous.
The deep fake stuff, the audible stuff. I mean, 11 Labs. I can take anybody's recorded voice. I could take a bunch of your YouTubes, feed it to 11 Labs, and spit out a Maxwell Glick system.
Oh, I know.
That will pretty much talk just like you, and unless somebody is really good at listening to the difference, never know the difference.
Unless you know what I sound like and how I talk usually, then it's
the nuances. Crazy. How you talk and how you speak, it gets right on.
It's crazy.
It's scary.
Scary stuff, folks. Scary stuff. But anyway, back to your book. I actually think it would be fun for me to read a tiny bit from it so you guys can get an idea of what it sounds like, yeah?
Awesome.
Let's see. So, let me just take a little tiny piece from your dedication here, because I think this is important. This tells you why you wrote it. And you say here, finally, I dedicate this book to every person, young and old, employed and unemployed, educated and uneducated, that dreams of becoming financially secure and building a happy, successful, and rewarding life, but is too intimidated to take that first step. True. It is intimidating.
It is. It's scary. It is, way scary.
Yeah. I mean, it really, really is. And so, how, what I would say, what kind of, before I read some more, what are some of the big things that you would say to someone that is intimidated by this?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, certainly the way I face my fears is research. I identify something I'm uncomfortable with. I don't necessarily want to do, but I know I need to do. I don't feel like I have the skills or the knowledge to accomplish it well. So I start digging in. The beauty of the AI stuff and the internet is we now are in a world where, with a few keystrokes, we can start getting answers to our questions. And, by putting together books like this and things that people can get their hands on, it helps accelerate the educational process to, at least in my world, get away from that intimidation. Because the more I know about something, the more I understand the way other people succeeded, which is one of the things I put in the book, is how successful people can be, or somebody that is starting out can be, what can be achieved. And once I think you understand how to kind of do the steps and what can be achieved, that gets rid of a lot of that fear, or at least helps mute it down.
It does. Yeah. I mean, it's so true. I think that's true in a lot of different areas. I mean, not just this. That is, very true. It is. Oh yeah, it's very true. And I really do feel that way. Hold on. I'm going to, I want to actually read that little passage here, the intro.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Okay. All right. So this is how the book actually starts. And I think that, I mean, once people hear this, I think you're going to understand like what this book is all about. So it starts out understanding the economic turmoil. The year 2020 will go down in history as a year of unprecedented economic turmoil. The world economy was hit by a double whammy in the form of the COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing lockdowns that brought economic activity to a standstill. The pandemic not only disrupted the global supply chain, but also brought about a significant change in the consumption pattern, leading to a fall in demand for several goods and services. The pandemic's economic impact was compounded by the already existing geopolitical tensions, the US-China trade war, and the Brexit conundrum. And then you show this like big graph, and you know, people that want to check out the book, you'll see there's a lot of good stuff just throughout the book that you won't hear because you do have lots of neat little graphics and charts and you know, so if you want to get the book too, it's a good way to do it. I mean,
the one thing that I try to do is so the Audible is great because you're in your car, you're driving, you can listen to it. Everybody knows that.
It is great.
The back is a black and white version of the book. The hardcover is actually everything is full color inside.
Yeah, it is. It's yeah. Well, actually, I mean,
and the Kindle, of course, is full color. So
full color, yeah. Mine is full color here too.
Yeah.
But it is actually, you know what? Let me put a link here, guys. So you can actually go check it out. And I'm gonna pop it in the chat. Any questions you guys can ask right now? That would be great too. Let me see in the chat. Where is this? Oh, of course, the Audible link is just so long. Why is it so long?
You have to trim down. You go to one, there's one code, and you trim everything down to that code. Everything after is just junk.
Yeah, it is.
If you want, I can send it to you.
Yeah, do you have a link that is...
yeah, give me 1 second.
A shorter link, so I don't have to do that right now.
I will handle that for you. You got it.
Awesome. Of course, the link is... They allow me 200 characters in the chat here, and that link was 220. Woo!
Yeah, no, it's if you don't trim it down, it gets unwieldy.
No one needs that many characters, I don't think. But I can just type it there. So there's the title, guys, that I put in the chat. And I'll just put your name there.
Okay, so that I just sent you the Audible book version.
Great.
The paperback, no, paperback's still just as long as that.
One of the one of the really interesting things, once you're done with that I wanted to talk about was. Oh, I got the link here. Great. So you talk about, there's one specific chapter where you talk about starting out your day and the important steps that you take in the morning and how important that is. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I found that part actually really interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's some of the things in that chapter I do, some of I don't. But after kind of thinking about what does it take to start the morning? The one that stood out the most for me is I normally take what's called a cold shower in the morning or jump in the swimming pool when it's like freezing. And the reason I do it is it was reinforced by another business YouTuber that said, this is why I do this. And the way he said it just rang so true. And that is, every time I go to face that shower, every time I face to jump in that pool, I don't want to. And I really don't want to. And I have to make a hard, conscious decision to go do it. And what he said was, when I do that, when I make that decision and take the cold shower, it gets me in alignment for the rest of the day, that if I can face that, I can pretty much face anything else that comes at me. And I went, you know what? Cold shower doesn't sound like it's horrendous until you're standing in front of the cold water and you're going, I don't want to. And, and then when you force yourself to do it, the initial hit is like, okay, this hurts. Yeah. But after you're in there for half a minute or 20 seconds, it's fine. But that first initial getting in is really hard. And it's so funny the way he put it was, if I can face that, then anything that day can throw at me is not going to compare to having to face that. And so that sets up a really cool mental picture of how to run the day.
Yeah.
You
do that every day?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I could do
it's invigorating. Let me tell you.
Oh man. Do any of you watching do that, or do you think you could see yourself doing that? Because woo, man, just thinking about it, I'm like, oh.
Now there are people that are more extreme, and it's becoming much more mainstream now, where they actually have set up ice baths that they take.
Oh, yes.
And, a cold shower is, 40-degree water. It's cold. Now try 32-degree water or 20-degree water.
Because I got, it pulled up here. And I'm looking at some of the key benefits here. Boosts energy and alertness, improves circulation, reduces muscle soreness, reduces stress and anxiety, enhances immune function, promotes healthy skin and hair. All this? Wow.
From a minute and a half of cold water.
Is it worth it to you people?
If anybody says no, I understand, because every time I face it, it's like, I don't want to do this. And it doesn't matter how many times I do it, I still don't want to do it the next time.
Right.
But after the first 10 or 15 seconds, it's like, okay, this feels good.
Wow. That's tough. I do the next one that's listed here, by the way, hydrate. I do that all day long.
Yeah, you and me both.
That's what I do all day long. There's no doubt that I do that. Yeah, because people in the chat are saying, nope. At what cost? Right? Yeah.
It is hard. It's not easy.
Oh, but
that single thing sets up the entire rest of your day. Woo. Of I can face anything, and that is huge. So I get the nopes because every morning I say nope, and then I make myself do it. So for all you folks that are saying nope, I get it, but try it.
All right.
See how you feel after, not when you do it, but afterwards, see how you feel.
We're going to say, give it a shot. Okay, great. No. Give it a shot.
It's huge. It's huge.
Then there's other ways that you do that are talked about here in chapter 10. I think chapter 10 is great.
Yeah, it's chapter 10, yeah.
Because you got hydrate, breath work, meditation.
Breath work is huge. Breath work, the simplest way of thinking about it is you spend 5 minutes where you sit in a nice quiet place comfortably and you breathe, but you do it very specifically and you count. So you count, I usually do 8 count up. So 8 count in, 8 count hold, 8 count release, 8 count hold, 8 count up. And the reason you count is it keeps your brain from heading off in all these directions and thoughts. So when you're thinking and counting with your breaths and concentrating on breathing in, and I'm talking as deep as you can go. So you want to take your breaths as deep and much air as you can take in, and then as empty as you can get, and then hold, and then do it again. And do it for a minute at first or 30 seconds at first, because if you've never done it before, it's new. Yes. I try to do 5 minutes a morning. Okay. It really invigorates. It's another energy booster. It's another thing that just gets your whole body energized and just buzzing with energy.
Yeah. That is true. And you know, I like that this was part of a book about finance too, because it also just this is not just a book that is about finance. You see, it's not. This is, you know, you have a whole chapter here that's just about,
Lifestyle
yeah,
and the morning.
in the morning and what successful people do, you know. And it's good, it's cool to read this. You know, it really was, it was fun to actually read this chapter and be like, oh hey, I do this, oh I don't do that. Or I can't see myself ever doing this one, you know. But it's really interesting. To kind of, you know, just it got me thinking about things I had never really thought about. So
Awesome. Well, that's
cool.
on the cold shower. Going back to that, that's why I picked that person that looks terror-ridden getting into the cold water.
Yeah, there's a great picture. Yeah, there's a great picture here if you guys ever do get the book, but it's good stuff. What I think is also good for people to know, you've got a free ebook, right?
Yes, sir.
And that, you have a
But
link to that.
it's not a little teaser though. It's about 68 pages long.
Pretty cool. I can pop the link to that.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I could pop the link to that in the chat here right now. Because that's actually,
for you real quick.
It's on page 13 of the book, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right, I got that right here. Boom, there it is. There you go. It's in the chat now. So if you're, you know, at all curious, there's a free ebook right there. And what can you find in that?
That book is it's called The Blueprint to Starting Your Business. So if you're interested in starting a business, this, I mean, it's not down to the nitty gritty and it's not super high level where it doesn't give you anything useful. It's kind of in the middle where there's very useful step-by-step guide, but there's, you know, the devil's in the details always, but it does give you a good, you know, 5,000 foot view of how to start a business, what steps you need to take, what things you need to look for and do and have in place as you do the next step.
I mean, it's just so, you know, I run a business. I mean, being a voice actor and a YouTube influencer, this is all running a business. And you know, it's funny because, you know, when I first started it, I didn't even think of it as that. It was just like, yeah, I'm gonna make some videos, see how that goes. And then it turns into, and you really, like, knowing this kind of stuff beforehand would have been really nice.
I call them minefields. It helps you kind of miss the mines in the minefield.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I think a book like this is really important. It, you know, and Naomi asked here, you know, it's a book for young adults, but what
any age.
It really is any age.
Yeah,
it really is.
The main reason we took that as a topic is, again, I wrote it for if I was 20, what I would have wanted to learn, but every day I'm learning new finance stuff. Every day I'm building on, and it doesn't matter, I think, what age anybody is. If you're open, the learning is unlimited.
It's true, because I mean, you could be starting a business at age 60. It's
the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy. When did he start Kentucky Fried Chicken?
When?
I think he was 65 or 70.
Amazing.
And before he died, I think he was worth $1 billion.
Okay, so there you go. Any age, Naomi, because this KFC man was worth $1 billion.
Yeah, Mr. Colonel Sanders, I think.
Colonel Sanders. That's amazing. Yeah. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, he was broke and poor for pretty much his entire life. And then he came up with the idea of Kentucky Fried Chicken and started in one little place and it exploded. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. Basically, so guys, you can do things at any age, which I always believe as well. It's, you know, I've got I do voiceover coaching, and I've got clients of all ages, which is so neat to me. I've got people that were like, I've been told for years that I would be good for this, and I'm 55, and I was like, why would I not give it a shot? And it's so true, and it is true. But it's getting over that fear, because that is a thing that holds us back a lot. And taking that initial step is the hardest, and then once you do it, you're like, oh, huh, boy, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah. Taking that risk is a lot better than having the, oh, shoot, what if I'd done later?
Yeah.
Regrets are horrible.
Yeah.
So face the fears as soon as you can. And if you don't face it this year, face it next year. But try to face the fears and go after the information. In my world, go after the information.
Oh, yeah.
Build.
Oh, yeah. I am the same way. I mean, I think what if I didn't move here? I wouldn't have had all these incredible experiences. I wouldn't be sitting here with you, this community of people watching. Like, it's mind-boggling to me. So
every decision we make in life is like a fork in the road.
Yeah.
And the more we can make where we're growing, usually the happier people are.
It's true. It is true. It is true. Any other questions from you guys in the chat right now before we head out? Kris, anything else you want to get across to people?
Absolutely. There's 2 chapters near the end of the book that I'd briefly like to mention that I think is really important, getting back to Naomi's question and your comments about facing the fear and knowing what can be done. I think one of the questions I tried to answer in the book is in 2 chapters, and it was based around a short series. It was only available for 2 years on the Discovery Channel, called The Undercover Billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year it was one wealthy guy, and the next year it was 3 wealthy people. And the one I followed and enjoyed the most was this guy who now is pretty well known, named Grant Cardone. And the challenge was that these billionaires were said, hey, we're going to give you a $100 bill. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you a rickety old truck. We're going to put you in a mid-sized city where nobody knows you. We're going to give you an empty cell phone, and that's all you have. And the challenge is in 90 days to make and sell a company worth $1 million. That's 90 days. Woo! And when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, this is all showmanship. But I actually, it was funny. I was talking to Maxwell earlier about this off channel. And one of the things that impressed me most about Grant was this guy, when he did the show, was worth something like $40 billion. He accepted the challenge. Now think about this. He sells all of his business and work based on his credentials. So if he'd failed in this show, he would have been screwed in all of his business.
Yeah.
And he knew that. He realized that. However, if he succeeded, it was a huge boon, which it turned out to be a huge boon. I think he's worth something like 120 billion now. But anyway, the thing that impressed me the most is he got in this little town. He had the rickety old truck. He didn't drive it because he didn't want to use his $100 for gas money. So he walked everywhere. And now he was 62, I think, when he was doing this. So here's a 62-year-old man in this town walking because he didn't want to burn any money on gas. Met this guy that owned a mattress store on a street, saw what was going on, said, look, I'm going to help you market your mattresses. All you pay me for is the materials, like the paper, pens, and pencils. Yeah. Don't pay me for my time because I want to show you what I can do. And they had a sale on that Saturday. And here's this 62-year-old guy that's worth, I think, 40 billion at the time, spinning one of those signs out on the street, getting people to come in to the mattress store. That tenacity, that that energy to go get those sales is what most people don't understand is necessary to really succeed. It wasn't that he did anything like magical. He just did the hard work where necessary. Now, granted, he made smart decisions and he has a knowledge base that mortal man doesn't have now. I mean, if you haven't made $1 billion or a couple $1 billion, you don't have that knowledge set. But watching the show gives you a good indication of the decisions that he made through the process. The end of the story, because I'll cut it short, is at the end of the 90 days, his company was not worth $1 million. He sold it for $5.5 million in 90 days.
I think we all wish we could do that. Yep.
The fact of the matter is any person can do that. Now, granted, he has a certain confidence level that somebody that doesn't do what he did has, but watching him makes it understandable, and you get the pieces of the decision processes he made go from 0 to $5.5 million. And so whether you do it in 90 days or you do it in a year, or you do it in 2 years, it's really not that important. I mean, doing it every 90 days is great, don't get me wrong, but do it in 5 years, do it in 2 years. Set yourself, one of the things that Grant does, and he says consistently, is set a goal that's not impossible, but is very, very difficult. So when he went into that show, he did not say, he actually said this at the beginning, he said, I'm not going to make a company worth $1 million. My goal is to make a company worth 10 million.
Wow.
That's what he set himself for his goal. Now, he didn't do 10, but he did do 5.5.
Yeah, not bad. Okay.
So there's 2 whole chapters on that whole, you know, I summarized the whole show and the activities they took in there so that you can kind of get a high level view of the decision process and what they did and kind of how the show is orchestrated and what it did. And then there's tools in the book of how to look at money different. A lot of people don't look at, you look at money as this thing I have to spend. When you step back from that and understand money is a commodity, it's like corn or gold or anything else. And so the reason we have inflation right now is because unfortunately our government is printing a whole bunch of money. So the supply has grown, so the value has gone down and the price on everything has gone up. Money is a tool. It's used to go do things. When you step back in the second chapter, well, part of the first chapter and the second chapter is about how money started in the medieval days and how people like bartered and then moving forward. But understanding that money is a tool is a real important thing to kind of digest and start looking at it as a tool. And how do I use this tool to achieve my next goal? How do I build that next piece of a house? Or how do I, move this bolt? Because money is a bolt mover. It's not a wrench, but it kind of can be looked at like a wrench.
What a good, I like that.
It's a way, I mean, if you have $1, you can move things that are $1 less. If you have $10, you can move things that are $10 or less. How you move those things is super important. If I take that $10 and I move it in such a way that what I buy and then sell is worth $20, I've used that tool to now make 2 tools.
Right.
And so just looking at money in a different way is one of the goals of this book, is to get people to understand how the rich really do look at money. Do we have enough time to mention IUL insurance?
I think we got about 2 minutes left here, and then
And what I'll say is, guys, please take a look. The Kindle version is very inexpensive. There's a thing called Indexed Universal Life. I was telling Maxwell about this. It's a type of insurance, life insurance, that's not designed to help you. Well, it helps you when you're dead. It helps your family when you're dead. But more importantly, it helps you when you're alive.
Yeah.
So it's actually a tool you use when you're alive.
Yeah.
And then you have the added benefit that it helps people when you're not. The ultra rich had this tool available to them back when the Federal Reserve was put back into place after Lincoln was assassinated. So the IRS code that is used to build IUL insurance has existed forever. The first time IUL insurance was available to mortal man, meaning you and I, normal people, not billionaires, was in the mid-90s by Transamerica.
Okay.
Now it is becoming more mainstream, and you're going to see more Instagrams and Facebook people talking about private banking and being your own financer and IUL insurance. This tool, I go into in a couple of chapters detail of why and how it works. And I don't want to it'll take a half hour to describe it. But if nothing else, when you leave this channel, when we leave our live video, go do your own research on Index Universal Life or IUL insurance. It's huge. It's a game changer.
Right.
It allows you to buy things after a couple of years without even talking to a bank.
Wow. Okay.
It's
really cool.
It's huge.
That's really neat. I'm gonna just put that in the chat here, guys. Again, if you want to go check out the book, there is your link right there. In the chat, you see it right there. I'll also put it in the description of this video when we're done. So this will be here. This will live here forever, Kris.
Awesome. The only thing I'll ask is if you guys do get the book or the Kindle or the Audible, please, please, please leave reviews.
Yes.
That lets me know what you want for the next book. It also lets Amazon know to let more people know about it. So it is huge when you guys do these reviews.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. Leave a review for sure. And if you want to leave that review, it's at the link that I gave you there. That's the spot right there. And you know, that's good for me too. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also my email address is in the book if you have further questions.
Yes, that's right. I had to say your email address a whole bunch of times. Remember that?
Yes. It's a little hard to pronounce.
It was long. It was like Kland at I remember. Well, this was great. It was really cool getting to do this. We've had a ton of issues actually scheduling this, and I'm so glad that we finally made this happen. We are both very busy people. So
I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great that we finally got the chance to do this. Everyone at home, go check out the finance book for young adults. The link is in the chat. It'll be in the description if you're watching this later. Kris, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Maxwell. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
You bet. You too.
All right. Bye.